it?
Yeah.
Okay. So, before we start, I am going to hand you a piece of writing by second graders.
Okay.
Okay? I want you guys to take these next few minutes to read the story, and then I want you to do 3 things. I'll write it on the board here. I want you to read it. I want you to analyze it. And then I want you to give it a grade. I'll give you about 2 to 3 minutes. They're short readings, not too long. And I want you to grade. Give them a grade. Some things to think about while you guys are grading. I want you guys to think about, what are you looking for? I want you guys to think about, how would you grade this paper? I want you to look at the question being asked. I want you to draw some conclusions. Do you think this student understood the reading? How are his or her writing skills? If you were to see this in a class, what would you conclude? 1 more minute. Take some notes if you want to. And then I want you to give me a grade with a big circle. Big circle at the front.
You can have numeric grades or letter grades.
Grade it. I will get to that point in a second. Jumping ahead of me, man. About 30 more seconds here.
Second grade?
Second grade. Did you grade yours, Claire? Yes. Okay. For right now, I want you guys to turn your papers over, and I'm going to give you a quote for discussion. We will come back to those in a little bit. Okay? So, according to a professor at Harvard University, in the article that we read, chapter 5, which I'm assuming everyone read, right? Okay? In the, he states that most decisions made in education are made for the benefit of the adults and not the students. What do you guys think about that? Do you guys agree? Do you disagree?
I don't know if I say that most of the decisions are made, but definitely a lot of them are made to make it easier for the adults to be able to put some kind of grading scale together that's more universal.
That's more universal for who? Universal amongst a district? Universal amongst the school?
Yeah, I mean just teaching in general, so that if the child goes from one place to another, everyone can have a general idea of what kind of student the child is. So I mean it's pretty vague because all cultures are different, obviously.
Okay, Claire? Anything you want to add to that? No?
Well,
Jack?
so the quote said that decisions are made to benefit more the adults than the students.
Yeah.
I think that is true in many aspects. For example, with contracts and in tenure and unions, a lot of times, for example, in Washington D.C., there's the school minister person that was over the school districts wanted to come up with a new plan to improve the school systems. And her plan was to pay higher, like raise this teacher's pay scale to 6 digits.
Oh, wow.
But in turn, they had to provide results. Their students had to perform. And that was so against what the unions were for that they didn't even allow the unions, their teachers, to vote, because they didn't want to lose that power over the teachers, over the group. And so when it really came down to it, it wasn't the student success that was most important, it was the teacher. It was the teachers, it was the money, it was the power that was most important rather than student success.
Oh, that is an interesting point. Thanks for bringing that up. Okay. So, in our opening activity, is to push us into this, what's called the research process. Okay. This is a form of research that has been done at an elementary school that I will bring back later. So effective teachers use proven research-based practices that are employed by thousands of other teachers. Okay, we went and read the sample reading, analyzed it, and gave it a grade. So let's go ahead and go through this. What is research? Okay, the use of the human mind to seek answers, or as some would say, to search for the truth. What kind of research is out there? Because there's scientific, okay, there's the ones that we do as teachers, but in research, does it really have to be scientific? Does it have to follow a certain method to be considered research? What are your thoughts about that?
No, I don't think so. I think that that first part where it's the human mind trying to determine, seek answers. So anytime that we come to a conclusion or have an experience that clarifies something in our mind, it's research. Or if it raises more questions to be able to get to an end of clarifying something, it can be used as research.
Okay, so we are concluding that research can be done by who?
Anyone.
Anyone.
And anybody that comes up with findings, in general, we call it research, which is why so much research goes both ways, or people argue about, whose research is more accurate.
And that's the repetitiveness of all of it, right?
Yeah, a lot of times your answer's already in your head before you start even researching it, and so you find,
Evidence.
Very
evidence
nice.
to support.
Very nice. I think you just covered my lesson already.
Okay, you only have, okay, you're good.
So, okay, objectives. Today, students will be able to identify and apply research-based practices to teaching to improve learner achievement by analyzing student sample writing, which is what we did in our opening activity. And students will be able to follow the research process when analyzing student writing. So, through our lesson, you will be able to answer questions like, what is research? And I thought this was really interesting because as I was looking at all the words, I really, really like this picture. Because it does involve analyzing a hypothesis, coming up with different methods, theories and stuff. So that was a really good one.
I just had a thought
Yes.
that reminds me that a lot of times in school, when I was teaching 6th grade or 5th grade, usually it's just the terminology or the vocabulary that the students know how to do research. They just don't know that it's called research and data and projects and this and that. So if you can kind of connect what they already know with what they are about to do, then it's not as, you know.
Well, and I think too, once they can make those connections, they can be better engaged in what you're teaching. Okay? So, we're also going to learn about the importance of research, more so in the education sense. When will I use research-based instruction? That's kind of a frustrating picture. How many of you guys have known of teachers in that situation when they're just at their end whim of what can I do to help better these students?
I mean, I was in the situation oftentimes causing a teacher to feel like that. Just because my questions were pointed, or my questions like why, you know, like give me some definitive answers, because a lot of times there's a lot of theory that's talked about in education, but application and how it's going to be useful in the real world. I mean, if I were to ask that of my calculus teacher, well, what's he going to say? You're really not going to use this information unless you go into engineering, or you know, unless you go into one of these fields. It's like, why do I have to freaking know it then, you know? So.
What is she? Oh.
I know somebody that.
That's like inside of my heart right now. Okay, who does it involve? We're going to discuss who does the process involve, and then how can I incorporate it in my lesson planning? How can I apply the best practices to address my students struggling? So we are going to, this is the research process that we are going to be going through in two different situations. The article, the situation that was given in the article was about Western Heights School District in Oklahoma. So we're going to talk about them in the process, and then I'm going to give a quick, condensed, I wanted to give you guys an on-hand look at the data research teams that were done while I was working at Tuli Elementary. It's really rigorous, it's very tedious, but when you see the benefit of it, when you see the students succeeding, it makes all of the work worth it. Okay. In-flight adjustment, what is going on? Okay, so my slide is blank. I don't know what is going on. Okay, it's blank. So I'll just talk about it. Okay? So, I want to put you guys in a scenario. Okay? I want you guys to think about if you were second grade teachers individually, right, in your own classrooms, and you are just struggling with reading. You're just struggling with reading, your students are not comprehending, you know, you're giving these assessments and they're not working out. What are you going to do? Then you see your teacher, your fellow second grade teachers at a staff meeting, and you're like, and then you realize you guys all have the same problem or same struggles. What are we going to do? Any ideas of what you guys think would happen?
So all of the second graders are struggling?
You see that there's a commonality.
You point the finger at the first grade teachers and say, what are you not doing for these, you know? Obviously they're already to that level, so you gotta, you have to make an in-flight adjustment. You have to redo or rethink your curriculum and incorporate that remedial part of it. It has to be done in order for the kids to understand this, right?
Okay, that's correct.
How are you going to know what to do?
You look at the research, I think.
We're going to get to that, okay? But we're going to kind of move it along because we got to keep going. But let's talk about what we're not supposed to do, okay? We've discovered that we have a problem, okay? This is what we're not supposed to do, okay? This is your teaching model that is not supported by research at all. And you may even see that this has happened in some of your previous classes, okay, that you've been in. Assign chapters to read, then your teacher tells you to answer the question at the back of the chapter. He gives a lecture and he has you take notes, shows a video. does the test, and then gives you a grade, you get a double thumbs down. Okay, you get a double thumbs down. Okay, going back to the research process because of my slide. So I'm going to go through very quickly about the Western Heights School District. So they use what's called a software-based research. So what they did was they were able to use computer programming. Their students did assessments on the computers, and they were able to gather that data and test results to see where the overall problem was. What's interesting was that they were able to use the software across the whole district. It wasn't just across maybe one elementary school. They were able to use it across a few, so that I thought was really interesting. Okay? Because of this, because they were able to identify the problem, they made a prediction, which led to the procedures. Okay, so their prediction was, okay, what am I going to do? How am I going to instill, or what will be the right answer to get these students to get